Good evening, everybody. Thank you for returning. Thank you for watching the previous videos. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the comments. All of the above. Thank you for all of it. Tonight I would like to do a vitamin A episode, actually. And the reason for this is, I'm seeing on TV a lot of commercials, a lot of infomercials, a lot of different things where they're promoting retinol, things that are promoting anti-aging, anti-inflammatory, and all of those things, and that's great. However, those things work from the outside in. They're creams, they're ointments, they're, topicals, what have you. And I would like to do this in the way of food. So I have prepared a very quick, very simple, I don't know if you want to call it a recipe, but just kind of a sandwich, really, that involves nothing but vitamin A rich foods. So what I've done is I've taken, we have here liverwurst. I don't know if you like liverwurst or not. This is boar's head. It's a high quality liverwurst. And I went ahead and I got that. Now, liverwurst has 469% vitamin A of your daily value per every 100 grams. So let me put that into a realistic perspective. So I have here these little rounds, and I had these sliced at the deli, obviously. And if I grab one of these, this is so fresh that it's not wanting to come off the paper. So if I grab one of these, you will see that that slice is about the size of my palm. Now, 100 grams is going to be basically palm size. That could be a steak, that could be liverwurst, it could be really any kind of meat, pork chop, whatever. And it's going to be about the thickness of a deck of cards. So let's add another one. And if I stack that like that, we're getting thicker. Let's do one more to do a deck of cards. And I would say that's about, in fact, that's maybe even thicker than a deck of cards. But, so there you have it. Right there, size of your palm, and that's 100 grams right there. So to put that in perspective, again, 469% of your daily allotment of vitamin A comes from that right there. So this is very, very high. Liver, some of these animal products, liver, dairy, eggs, fish, these are all very, very high in retinol. And this is one of the highest forms of retinol that we have in food. So I'm going to make a sandwich out of this. Now, vitamin A comes in two different forms. It comes in the form of retinol, which I just said is animal-based. You have your liver, dairy, fish, egg. And then you have a second type of vitamin A. You have beta-carotene. And it's an orange, yellow, red pigment that the body converts to vitamin A as needed. It's really, really interesting. So you think of vitamin A, you think of carrots, mangoes, butternut squash, everything orange basically is kind of that beta-carotene, composition. But broccoli has it, tomatoes are very high in it. Spinach is high in it, that's green. So, you can't really base it on the orange thing either, but that's kind of what we tend to think of when we think of beta-carotene. So these are the two different types. And retinol eaten as is, obviously you get the vitamin A. Again, beta-carotene has to be converted to vitamin A as the body deems necessary, right? So what I've done with this sandwich is I've taken our retinol and I have mixed it with vegetables. So I have avocado, I have romaine lettuce, I have red bell pepper. And these are the beta-carotene aspects that I'm going to mix with this so that way we have an entire composition in a sandwich of vitamin A. So we're going to round it out and make sure we get both types of vitamin A. So I'll put this away. And I don't know, I'm going to do a little more than a deck of cards. I might do 4 slices because I really like this. And I have not yet taste tested this. Let me go ahead and do that. Oh, it's perfect. Perfect. You know, you can get the little tubes of liverwurst, and I find that those have a very strange texture that's really undesirable. It's grainy, you get little chunks of weird things in it. When you get this style from the deli, you don't have any of that in it, and it's much, much milder. It doesn't have that really potent liver flavor. It's exactly what personally I'm going for when I eat liverwurst. So I'll go ahead and put this away. I think that's all we're going to use for the sandwich. Another thing too is cheddar. Now you might think that cheddar is orange. The thing is this also has vitamin A. And so I did get the thinly sliced, as thin as possible, because when I eat cheese with liverwurst, it tends to be very, very rich and way too strong for me. So I got as thin as I could possibly go to go on the sandwich. So there's that. And what I wanted to do as well, you know, I'm a mayonnaise person. I really like mayonnaise, and I really like mustard. And of course, both of those things will go well with this. And so I decided to mix the two elements, and I'm going to make a Dijon aioli. So an aioli, as you know, is an emulsion. It's basically a mayonnaise. It's a type of mayonnaise. And so then when we make the Dijon aioli, we have now incorporated the mayonnaise and the mustard together. So it's the perfect condiment, really, for me, for a sandwich. So that's what I'm going to do for this. And to do that, I'm also going to use sunflower oil. And it turns out I pulled up a pharmaceutics, something that a pharmaceutics expert wrote. She had done the research, and it turns out that sunflower oil has elements in it that promote heart health, skin health, anti-inflammatory capacity. You know, it's rich in vitamin A. It helps fight free radicals, which, as you know, free radicals can cause cellular degeneration and damage. Also, vitamin E does that, but, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a vitamin E episode, I don't know. But since we're on A, you know, it improves immune function, improves hair health, improves digestion, helps aid weight loss. Now, I'm not saying that this is some kind of miracle oil. I'm just saying that the properties in it can help do some of those things, you know, in the right conditions. So that's what I'm going to use. Now, with that said, I have never used sunflower oil. I have no idea what it tastes like. And in order to make the aioli, I'm going to actually taste this and see right off the bat what we might be looking at. And I'm just going to try a little. Oh, okay. It really just tastes like any other oil. It does have a nuttiness. It does have a very definitive depth. Oh, actually, that's nice. I'm going to use that more often. But, you know, at the same time, it doesn't have like some sort of distinct, it doesn't taste like sunflower seeds. You know, nothing like that. Oh, that's nice. Definitely keeping that in the cabinet. So that's what we're going to use for the aioli. Now, along with that, since it is a Dijon aioli, you know, obviously we have the mustard. And it turns out that mustard greens, not actual mustard itself, but the greens have 9% of your daily value of vitamin A. Mustard, in and of itself, has about 0.60 micrograms of vitamin A per serving. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is one of the condiments that's higher up there on the vitamin A list. So we'll go ahead and use this. Also, I'm gonna put on this sandwich avocado. Avocado is not only high in vitamin A, but it also helps vitamin A absorption. So remember when we said about beta carotene, that pigment will convert to vitamin A as needed by the body. This is one of the properties right here that will help do that. And so we're gonna take all the vitamin A that we have going here, and we're gonna help convert with this avocado. You could basically view the avocado as a catalyst. Studies are showing that eating avocados actually increases vitamin A absorption up to 1,200%. So yes, we are definitely using this on the sandwich. And then romaine, just as is, raw, has vitamin A in it. It's high in vitamin A, and so is red bell pepper. So I specifically got a red bell pepper. Now, as you can imagine, we talked about the pigment. As opposed to green, go ahead and get the red bell pepper for the high beta carotene content. As far as the bread for the sandwich, I looked at every loaf of bread on the shelf to find something that would be high in vitamin A. And really what it comes down to is that bread, there's no getting away from it. It's high in vitamin B. It is what it is. I really couldn't find one that, said, oh, high content of vitamin A. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with this whole grains and seeds. This has everything in it. And a lot of these seeds are going to have vitamin A. A lot of these properties will. So I'm just going to go with this bread. There was really nothing I could do about the bread itself. And for the aioli, it is a Dijon aioli. As far as pepper goes, I will be adding pepper. I don't want large specks of black pepper floating around in a white emulsion, basically. So I did go ahead and I got white pepper for that. And we'll go ahead and we'll actually start building. We'll start building the aioli right now. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna take our garlic. And I want these to be whole. I'm not gonna break them down. And I'm kind of a garlic fan. I might just do the whole package. I don't know. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do the whole package. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna heat up the pan, and we'll go ahead and get started. So after sauteing the garlic, this is what we ended up with. And as you can see, they're a nice little golden brown. You could roast these as well in the oven, either way. But no matter what you do, you're going to end up pureeing it. So it kind of ends up the same in that regard. But there you go, little golden brown things. I like garlic so well that I will often roast cloves like this and just eat them like popcorn. I know that might be weird, but yeah, I am a garlic fanatic. So anyway, what we want to do is we want to cool this down because in our aioli, as you know, it's an emulsion. And so we are going to be adding egg yolks. And so I don't want the very hot garlic to start cooking the egg into scrambled eggs. So we're going to go ahead and cool this down before we go any further with the actual aioli. And by doing that, I will go ahead and stick this in the freezer. Okay, now in the meantime, while that's cooling down, I'll go ahead and start prepping a few other things here. And one of the things I'm going to prep is the avocado itself. So we'll just go ahead and we're going to peel this. You could really, cut your avocado in whatever way you want. As I'm sure you know, when you put avocado slices on a sandwich, as soon as you bite into the sandwich, the avocado slices have a way of squirting out the sides. So I put mine into a mash, and then that way you can spread it on the bread and you don't have avocado just going every which way. And there we are. It's a good avocado. And a lot of you probably have an avocado slicer or something like that in your cabinets. So go ahead and use that. There we have slices. I didn't do the cleanest job of that, and I apologize. But you get the idea. So there's the pile of avocado slices. And I'm not going to add anything to the avocado. You know, I'm not going to add citrus or anything that you know, we might do. That I feel like citrus with the liverwurst will be absolutely weird. So not going to do that. And literally just let it stand on its own. It's not going to need salt. The liverwurst is salty. The cheese is salty. So the aioli is going to be, you know, it's going to have a little bit of sodium in it. So and so I'm just going to smash with a fork. And again, like I said, this is strictly so that the avocado slices, if I were to put that on, would just go kind of shooting off the sides of the sandwich when you bite into it. So this will end up more of a spread, an avocado spread, than anything else. And I do believe that I got overzealous with the avocado. I really should have only used half of that, but I used the whole thing. But it's okay. I like avocado. It'll get eaten. Okay, so there we have avocado mash to use as a spread on one of the slices of bread. The other slice of bread will have the aioli on it. Ah, yes. Perfect. So there's that. And also in the meantime, we're going to get our egg yolks together for the aioli. And in one of the previous episodes, I remember saying that there was an egg shortage, the chickens had avian flu and whatnot. I did notice today that there were organic eggs on the shelf again. So maybe the chicken pandemic is over. I don't know, but we're back to regular. But in the meantime, I was so paranoid that I wouldn't be able to get good eggs that I went to the drugstore because they had them, and I bought 2 dozen. So now I have a ton of eggs, and I'm gonna have to make more omelets in the morning or something to use these up. So all we need is the yolks. We can't use any white with the aioli. We can only use the yolk. So now it's just a matter of separating these out. And there we are. That's a perfect yolk. I'm trying to show it to you and it's sliding everywhere, but that's just the yolk without the white. And again, same thing there. All the white came off really, really cleanly into that ramekin, and that's just the yolk. Okay. Now, I love eggs, and I eat eggs a lot. I'm going to save these whites for breakfast tomorrow, to be honest with you. And these are the yolks we're going to use for our sauce. So I'm going to cover this over and use this for an omelet in the morning. Okay, so we'll put our eggs to the side. We will be using a blender for this. I know that in the previous episodes I've said I'm not going to use machines. I like to, they're a little bit loud. I like you to see what's going on. In this particular instance, we are going to have to use the blender. I have a Ninja behind me. It's my standby, and that's what we're going to use. In the meantime, we're still waiting for the garlic to cool down, and so I will go ahead and prep the red bell. Again, we have some beta carotene occurring here. Or a vegetable wash. Now, we are going to put this in a sandwich, and so we want our vegetables to lay flat, basically, as flat as possible. And that's very hard to do with a red bell, so this is kind of the way I chop these to make them lay flat. I'll cut it down. It tends to be curly on the edges. Shave those down. And then there's some meat in the middle, and I will shave that completely out. And basically filleting it the same way you would a fish, and what you're left with is this really nice piece that will lay flat on a sandwich. Now, you could cut it in strips, but you're going to end up with the same problem that you would with the avocado, where it just kind of ends up everywhere as soon as you bite into the sandwich. So for me, I would kind of like to just leave it in this form, and what I might do is just slice it in half, and that way on the bread, I have the two halves that aren't gonna spill out everywhere. And these you can chop up, put in salad, all these little ends, these little pieces. So I'm gonna put this in a Ziploc bag and then save those for salad. Okay, so I checked on the garlic in the freezer. It is definitely cold now. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab the blender so you can see what I'm doing here. And we're gonna go ahead and start building our aioli. So here's our blender cup. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to add the eggs. This is the portion that will enable the emulsification of the oil. Eggs also have a reputation for being high in retinol. An egg yolk can really, really hold a lot of oil, and it's actually surprising. You can keep adding a ton of oil to an egg yolk in a blender before it breaks. You don't want to get to that breaking point, obviously, and but I'm always very amazed at how much oil an egg yolk can carry. So when we put 2 egg yolks in there, that means this will carry a lot of oil once it's blended up. Okay, so now we want to add the garlic in. And the garlic will get very, very sticky as you blend this. And so I tend to add a little bit of water. That will make it so that stickiness won't adhere to the surfaces. It won't make it so that you can't emulsify anything. So let me add just a little bit of cold water. The water has to be cold. You don't want to cook that egg. So make sure it's as cold as you can get it. And I'm just going to incorporate that. That should be about right. Also, I'm gonna put my toppings to the side here. I'm gonna add a little bit of shallot to this. And this is just personal preference. You know, you can either add it or not. It really doesn't matter. Because this is going to get blended up, it really doesn't matter the size of which you cut this. And so just flavor-wise, I'm thinking that's about right. It's not meant to be an onion aioli, which certainly we could do at some point. It's just meant to be a, you know, just kind of a background flavor profile with that shallot. Okay, so now we have our egg yolk, our shallot, our garlic, and we're gonna run this through and we're gonna go ahead and blend this up. And once we do that, we will then start incorporating our sunflower oil. Okay, so here is our Dijon aioli. And I did not have anything really to use for this. This is a tongue depressor. I'm just going to give this a taste test. Okay. I will be honest with you, that was too much garlic, even for me. But go ahead and use less garlic than what I used. And about half, I would say about half of what I used. And then I used about, I want to say about 1/8 of a cup of Dijon, and that should do it. And actually it's very, very good. It's just more potent than I thought it would be. So what we'll do is we just won't use as much on one slice of the bread. We'll do it just to match that, you know, what's happening on the sandwich, and we'll be good to go. So now, also, I'm just noticing now that the shallot, you know, I pureed the shallot, and when you puree the onion, it's basically an onion, and when you do that, it really, really comes out quite potently. And so I was gonna slice red onion to go on this sandwich, but I feel like what's happening in the aioli will actually just cover this. It's already in there. And so I'm actually going to not do that. And I'm gonna toast the bread. So we're almost good to go here. I am gonna toast these slices, and I'm not too keen on the cheese being, you know, super cold or whatever on the sandwich. So I want it to be a little melted. So what I'll do is I'll toast the bread, and I'll put the cheese slices down. That will kind of loosen it up a little bit, sort of semi-melt it. And then I will build the rest of the sandwich. And so into the toaster they go. And again, this is super thin, exactly how I wanted it. And 3 slices is a serving size of the cheese, so we're gonna go ahead and stop at 3 slices. Regardless of how much I like cheese, I also like garlic, and that ended up too strong, so. So that's that, and as soon as the toast comes out, it's gonna be warm. We're gonna put the cheese on, and that'll melt on there just a little bit. So there's our toast. And putting the cheese on here, it's gonna melt down just a little bit. And then I'm gonna put the other one on top of it just to keep that heat in while I get the lettuce ready. These outer leaves have some pink on them. I'm just gonna tear those off. I won't be using those. We're gonna use the inner leaves, the heart of the romaine that doesn't have those pink ribs on it. So that looks like a good one right there. So go ahead and use that. I did see a little bit of pink on here. I'm just gonna tear that out. Like that. Okay, and I think we are at the stage of building the sandwich now, so we will go ahead and do this. So the cheese did melt down a little bit. You can see that. That's perfect. That's what I was going for. And we're gonna add our retinol. Very good. And there we have it. So then we do want to add the aioli and the avocado to this slice. Since the cheese melted to this slice, I'm not going to take it off. It's fine the way it is. So I'll just take some of this. And I was a little hesitant before doing this because I didn't want the mushiness of the avocado to match the texture of the liverwurst. And so I did want to offset it. It's one of the reasons why I went for the red bell and the lettuce. I wanted very much a crunch on there. I didn't want the whole thing to be just kind of a mushy texture. Okay, so there's the avocado spread, and now we're going to add the Dijon aioli. And just going to put a little bit on here. Like I said, it turned out a little stronger than I intended, so I would recommend half the garlic that I used, about an 1/8 cup of Dijon. And that's going to give you, if you add the shallot, that's going to give you that oniony element that you like with liverwursts. And I'm not going to add any more onion to this because that's how strong that aioli is. Okay. I couldn't find any coffee stirrers in the store. And the store that I usually go to, you buy those little cocktail straws for coffee stirrers. They didn't even have them on the shelf, and I don't know where they went. I don't know if that's another supply chain thing. So I went ahead and I started using tongue depressors because it works. All right, so that's that. And now we have that piece of the bread. We're gonna go ahead and, like I said, we're just gonna put the halves of the red bell on here. And we have our romaine, which also has vitamin A. I like a lot of crunch on a sandwich, so I'm gonna add more lettuce than normal. There we go. Also, you can add spinach. As I said in the beginning, spinach is actually high in vitamin A as well. And there you have it. Retinol sandwich.